Hey everyone, welcome back to Cloud Astronauts. We're on mission number 2 with Cloud Astronauts. A simple pass through a series of services on AWS dealing with AI. AI for transcription, AI for translation, and AI for recording text into audio with different kinds of voices. Should be kind of a little quick adventure and kind of fun, interesting way to learn. And let's go put our hands on and see how it works. To get started, you're going to go ahead and jump into the guidebook. There's some interesting sections here on AI services on AWS. You can review that. Then you can go to the mission briefing. Remember here, the story is that the captain's asked us to translate a couple of the messages and we've got to go figure out what they are using services on AWS. But we'll really start in the section for creating an S3 bucket. We're going to upload those materials into an S3 bucket. So select S3, come out to the service, select the Create a Bucket button, and the real trick here is just naming your bucket. Because with AWS you have to have a globally unique name, no one else in the world, the entire world, can have the same name of bucket that you do. So that's the trick. You can't do the Mars Transit syslog name if I have it. You just have to add something different. Leave all the other values default, hit the Create Bucket button, and very quickly it'll come back. And once you've created your bucket, now you're going to load the files that we've provided. We've given you 2 interesting files with messages in a language that you may not recognize. The whole fun trick here is to go find out what they are. So let's pull that up, drag and drop those messages over. There you go. Then we'll go ahead and select the upload button and we'll get those messages loaded. Should only take a second. Now if you're curious, we can go find out. You can play that message now that it's uploaded in S3. So select the checkbox, pick one of them, hit the open button, and it's going to bring it out and play it in an audio player browser. So you can kind of listen to it, figure out if you know the language. If you don't worry, because that's what we're going to go figure out next. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move next to Amazon Transcribe. So up in the search bar, type transcribe, then select the service, and you'll come out to transcription jobs. Go ahead and X out of that left-hand navigation to give us a little bit more room to see what we're doing. And what you're going to do is create a job. Go ahead and select the button, scroll down in the guidebook, kind of helps you figure out what you're going to do next. And the next thing to do is just name the job. It doesn't have to be anything too fancy. It also does not have to be globally unique. And what we're going to do is automatic language detection. So that's what we're going to try and figure out. The next thing is to tell it what file are we going to use. So you click that Browse S3 button, go into your bucket, select the first file, and hit the Choose button. And then the rest of the values are just default. So you can scroll down, hit Next, and the next page is also default values. Nothing too fancy here. Create Job button, and it's going to go ahead and kick off. This process could take 2 to 3 minutes. You'll see the status says in progress. And after a couple of minutes, it's going to come back and tell you complete and what language it's in. And you'll see that right here. Here it goes. Now it's status complete. Language is Japanese. Click into the job. And what you're going to see is scroll on down and you'll see the transcription in text. It's in Japanese kanji, but there's the text. So go ahead and grab that text. We'll use it in the next section. All right, let's go ahead and translate that text. So we got some text in Japanese kanji. Let's go to the Amazon Translate service, type that in the search bar up top, select the service, and it's a pretty quick UI interface. You just have to plug in the kanji into the source language. We set it up for English, so it's going to translate this very quickly in an automated fashion. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that the text isn't very well translated. Now, you didn't have the original, but we've given you a copy of the original in our guidebook, and you can kind of see the difference there. A lot of things were sort of lost in translation, and so what we're going to do before we record the next thing is give you that original text. All right, let's take that original text and let's go use Amazon's Poly service to record it from text into audio. You'll go to Poly, you'll come out, You have a variety of voices that you can use in Amazon Polly. We're going to choose Joanna female, but you can listen to all the different options and figure out which one you want to use. And what you're again going to do is change that section called input text. And you're going to plug in the original English language message that we want to have recorded. And you're going to click Save to S3. You have to name the bucket that you created where you want this put. It's got to be exact, otherwise it'll error out. And go ahead and select Save to S3. Now, that job is going to kick off. And so the thing that you've got here is you're recording a new message in English to replace the one that you was running that your shuttle crew did not know. A good little exercise just to give you some familiarity with the options. And of course, if you're working on a development project with coders and engineers, you're probably not necessarily doing this through a UI, you're doing it through APIs and engineering it. But this gives you a sense of how it works and how good it is. So once you plug into the task and you see it's completed, select that link to the S3 bucket where it's located. You'll see where your new MP3 file has been created. Select your Mars Transit syslog, put a checkbox next to that file, that MP3, or click it, one of the two. And go ahead and open it, and you can listen to it and hear what was recorded and how that works. You can go ahead and listen to the whole thing. But for our purposes, what we're going to come back to is renaming the file. That whole long list of numbers isn't that helpful. So go ahead and give this a name that makes more sense. We'll go ahead and call it Passenger Health Warning 1 in the English. And then you go ahead and save changes. And voila, there it is. So what you just done is translate, transcribe, and then record. Now, we gave you another message that you can use to do those same steps, and there's other examples of messages here as well. And you can go ahead and go through and use those services. What we also have for you is a challenge that you might take up. It's called the AI telephone game. Remember that sort of childhood game where messages would get passed from child to child and they would come out terribly garbled? Well, you could do a loop using translate, transcribe, and Polly just to see how well the service works and whether it garbles things as well. And then if you want to get objective data on how good the translation is, you can go out and search out some of the tools that are out there that are open source and free, like this one here, and plug in both the original text and the translated text, and it will tell you just how good a job that it really did. Now next we're going to go ahead and do the cleanup step, and we'll get going. All right, for cleanup, the process is really quick. There's only a couple things you really have to clean up. The first is the transcribe job. So go ahead and type transcribe. You'll go out to the transcribe service and you'll see that there's one job there. Go ahead and put a check mark next to it and hit delete and then accept the change. Go ahead and delete that job. Now no more jobs in transcribe. The other stuff to clean up is in S3. You don't need that bucket anymore with all its stuff, its files. So you can go ahead and clean that up. So first, go ahead and empty the contents of the bucket. You'll have to confirm that you want to permanently delete the contents in the bucket. And again, do this when you're ready. Not you can have fun with this this game and try it a couple of different times. But once the bucket is empty, then you can go ahead and delete the bucket, and it's pretty straightforward from there. And that's it. Cleanup is done. It's pretty fast. It's pretty quick. All right, that was mission number 2. Mission 2 accomplished, and I hope you're seeing that you don't have to be an expert to try the cloud, to try AWS and try services out there and see how they work. With this last mission, what we did is we walked through a couple of different services, AWS Polly, Transcribe, and Translate, and you got a good sense of how good they are and where some of the issues might be. So that's kind of what we're trying to do, make it easy for anyone to see how these things work and just have a little bit of fun.